grab your goober, because we're heading into the Spider-Verse.
You, sir, are a goober.
I know. I am a goober.
Just another movie night.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I am Scott, and with me is my sidekick, my love, my best, Joe.
Hi, everybody. I'm the sidekick.
No, I'm just because we're talking like
So you're
comic
Batman,
book
I'm
movies.
Robin? Okay. You're Batman, I'm Robin. I guess I could do it. I can take it.
Let
Can
me
I be
tell you
Nightwing?
something.
I'm
You're
gonna be
Nightwing,
I'm
right?
Nightwing.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, as
I
long as
mean-
I'm Nightwing, I can handle that. Yeah.
I mean, even if you're Cassandra Cain, my favorite Batgirl.
I'll
We're
take
going
it.
off on a tangent. Yeah, we are just another movie night, and today we are doing before and after reviews, which is just us going to see a brand new movie in the movie theater and on release, and giving our before thoughts going in, and then our thoughts immediately out, which usually means we overrate things.
Because it's our first impression of the movie.
And that's the biggest problem of all. We always walk out of these things and then the next day or the next week we go, maybe that was a little too high. Who knows? But yeah, that's what we're doing. And today we are doing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It's kind of hard title because it's kind of just changing one word or something.
Yeah, you want to say across the universe, right?
That's what I said, right? It's Across the
You-
Spider-Verse,
yeah.
but the last one was called Into the Spider-Verse
Yes.
instead of Across.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But I want to say across the universe because I'm thinking of the Beatles.
Yeah, I guess that's true too, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna. Well, let's just start out by saying that we really loved the first movie. We loved it. We just watched
yeah.
it again last night.
I'm going to go heavily into that actually.
Okay.
I love that the headphones pick up so much because I literally, it sounds like we just heard a space shuttle.
It sounds like there's a
But it's
missile
just the
falling.
plane going
Yeah.
by. That's so funny. And then I have good hearing, which is insane because I pick up all this crap. Yeah, but let's just talk about the first one and our thoughts on that going into this and whatever. Because I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm into comic books.
What? Get out.
Yeah, and if I can nerd out a little bit, which I am a goober, so why not? Spider-Man is, when I was a kid, he was the superhero. He was my favorite. He was the reason I love comic books in general. As I got older, there was a point where I just collected Spider-Man. I actually clipped, and this ages me, but I would clip out the Spider-Man comic in the newspaper
Aw.
and stick them on and make the comic strips.
Aw.
Yeah, I was so into it when I was a child. I love this character and anything about him. But the problem was, when I started getting older, I started becoming obsessed with art. And I became more and more into art. And that's when I discovered what I was really loving about Spider-Man was Todd McFarlane. And I followed him when he left and did Image Comics. And Spawn, I followed him. And Spawn became my new one because he was the adult, edgy version, you know?
Yep.
And that's when I discovered Batman. And my life changed forever. But yeah, Spider-Man was the one for me that really stood out and the strong one. And so when I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I'm not gonna lie, the movie blew me away, and I absolutely adore it. And I will actually go out of my way to say it might be the best one. It might be my favorite comic book movie ever made.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
It's
That's incredible.
It's tough because there are so many kinds of comic book movies. There are the serious ones that people don't even know are comic books, like Road to Perdition, Old Boy, stuff like that. And then there are Infinity War, which is right up there with me with the best comic book movie ever made, because how could you beat that film? It had
Right.
everything in it, you know? But Into the Spider Verse for me just perfectly captures Spider Man on every level, does everything. But beyond that, it also catches all different kinds of art styles. It does all these different things while
Hmm.
paying so much of a tribute to these comic books and these characters. And while doing a good coming of age story.
Yeah.
It kind of nails everything.
Yeah, I gotta say, I love Miles Morales. I think he's adorable.
Yeah, and you know the creative team behind the first one was Lord and Miller, who did Clone High and Lego Batman. They're great with comedy, and they completely understand this stuff. And they came out in spades in that movie to me.
Hmm.
And so we just rewatched it again because I wanted to get it back in my mind, and I love it. I
Yeah.
just love it. I love the characters, great cameos.
Yeah. It's great. It
Yeah,
is. I gave it a 9.
yeah, it's a high one for me.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, I mean, do
um,
your thoughts on all
oh,
of this too,
well,
or
yeah. I mean, I was always. I don't want to say that I was more on the Marvel side when I started, liking comics, which is I was like around maybe 16, but I I am a Marvel person.
I think it usually starts out
I
that
am a
way.
Marvel person, and although I love Batman and DC and stuff, I do like both worlds. But I've always been a Marvel person, and my favorite comic book movie is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So I
That's
love,
your favorite.
yeah, I love it, and it just happens to be Marvel, but
Wow, over
yeah,
Infinity War.
yeah, yep, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm a little worried because I usually don't like things to go in my head. I usually kind of just want to go in with like a an attitude like, okay, we're gonna see this. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time. But when I get ideas in my head of, whether it's reading something inadvertently that I didn't want to read, or someone tells me something that they think, oh, I don't think it's gonna be a good movie, or something like that, like it's already in my head and I can't get it out. So I don't like going into a movie thinking, oh, okay, this is not gonna be as good as the first one. This is kind of gonna be a letdown. I don't want to think like that. My expectations of this is that no matter what, um, positives or best case scenario, is that what we're gonna do? Best case scenario?
We usually do best case scenario, worst
Yeah.
case scenario.
So best case scenario is it has a lot of um, you know, the same element, like the same kind of feel, like the first one did. Uh, with like, I kind of felt like Miles is like a real kid, like he's just a real kid, and I can relate to him.
Hmm.
I don't want it to turn into um, some absurdity, where like he becomes an asshole teenager where he hates his parents and he acts like an ass, you know? Like I don't want it to turn into that.
Well, Joe, I mean, with great responsibility, you know,
With great responsibility, with great power. What are you saying?
just kidding around.
Oh.
I'm just getting it wrong on purpose.
Oh, okay. But
Um,
yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I I'm not expecting any I think it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good. I'm not expecting anything bad.
well, I mean, so many things to go on what you were just talking about, but yeah, first off, saying best case scenario is, I mean, what's the best case scenario? That it's just as good as the original and better? I mean, of course, that's what you want, right? At the end of the day.
Hmm.
But the worst case scenario, like you said, is, I mean, like, let's face facts. When something is so loved, like the first one, it's hard to replicate it. I guess in here, what I love is that we're going to get more of the Spider Verse. But that problem is that Miles now is connected only to the Spider Verse, only into going it dimensionally, and he's not getting his own story. He always needs a lot of, like, he needs a lot of side characters.
Well, I feel like, yeah, I feel like in the first movie it was more Miles's like,
It is his story,
yeah,
but
but
he has a lot of
mhm,
supporting characters, is what I'm saying.
yes,
And
yeah.
so those supporting characters are fantastic, and the same thing goes here. We're going to get even more supporting characters, and some of them coming back. So that could be a problem. What I know this is weird, but I love the idea that they're bringing out 2099 Spider-Man, which Oscar Isaac was teased in the end credits of the first one doing that character. He's got a funny name. He's like Spanish Irish or something. I think his last name's O'Hare.
Yeah.
I know it's I think it's yeah something like that, and he's playing him, and what I kind of want is his story as well, and I don't know if they'll do that like a mirroring of stories, which would be kind of neat because what's cool about the title is that it doesn't have to be Miles' story, but it just is. But it because it's called Spider-Man and these are all Spider-Men, they and Spider Women, they can do whatever they want with them, and they could actually make it their stories, which is kind of a great idea and would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm
But
actually glad you brought that up because that would be my worst case scenario. One of those things where like they take most of the focus off Miles because I really
oh,
do like
I
Miles.
do too. But I
Um,
kind of want to mirror it.
yeah, but I don't want it to be like, okay, this is the, the Gwen story or, I don't want it to them to cram too much in. Like, of course I want to know about the Gwen story. Of course I want to know about Noir, all that. But
Yeah, he probably won't be in this one.
I mean, I would love to know about all of them, but I don't want them to cram too much where they take away from Miles because it's his story.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I kind of I like the idea that they could, if they wanted to, they could because of the title, they could do whatever they wanted. That could be amazing. But yeah, I understand that they want to say no, this is only Miles.
Right.
Um,
But I know they're putting in the other characters,
yeah, I
for the
think
fun of it, for fun.
I
And
think we might get like Web Slinger, who's a cowboy Spider-Man, who has a horse that's also a spider horse.
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a cowboy web slinger, gunslinger. You get it?
Get
And I
it?
think I think he might be the relative of the 2099 Spider-Man because I think they have the same name, last name.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like Patrick O'Hare or something like that. Is the cowboy version?
Oh,
And I think he might be in this, and I hope he is.
okay.
Those are some really neat characters, and a lot of people kind of adore those characters. Like those side stories are really interesting. And the last one we got one from every crazy part of the universe. And in the trailer, they show a lot of Ben Riley, which I don't think he'll be in this, but some people want some justice for that character. There's some cool stuff that he could do here, and I kind of love it. But I would love to see the dueling aspects of Miles versus this 2099, which is their future Spider-Man. I like that a lot, and I kind of do it. But I think right now, I think Marvel in general and all comic book movies in general are dealing way too much with the multiverse, and it's getting a little too much. I think
Yeah.
we're getting a little tired of it because we're also going to get it with the Flash now, and
Yes.
that's DC, and Marvel is it's so wrapped up in it that it's getting to the point where we're getting bored.
Yeah, and the last Spider-Man with Tom Holland.
Exactly the same. And this
Yes.
and in this, he actually mentions that. He
Yeah.
says Doctor Strange and that there's a number for that Earth that
Yes.
the movies come in.
Yes, I don't
Yeah,
remember the
it's like a
number.
999 type scenario. But
Yeah.
he mentions him, and I'm like, yeah, we just got this, so to get it again and keep getting it, especially when the first Miles movie did so well and did it perfectly. I think everything else kind of paled in comparison a little so far for me. I also, I mean, let's talk about the art
Oh, yeah, it's so beautiful.
because it's so unique,
Yeah.
and they use a different art style for every character that complemented that character. And it's something that it's just so mind blowing. I remember when we walked out of the theater, the first movie, and I first thing I said was, if I was a 14-year-old kid or a 12-year-old kid when I saw this movie, this would have been the most mind blowing thing of my
Yeah.
existence. I mean, I saw Dick Tracy, the movie, the live action Dick Tracy, which I actually really like. And
It's fun.
it blew my mind when I was a kid because it just felt like a living comic book.
It
It was
really
so
did.
much crazy colors
Hmm.
and the action was fun and they had everybody in it, every character from that universe, and that blew my mind. But if I saw this movie, I mean, this would have been my Godfather. This would have been like the thing because it's just so stunning to look at, and the character designs of the villains are so unique.
Hmm.
Like they made everybody look so interesting. It's so standoutish. We were talking about like the Green Goblin in that universe is like a giant gargoyle looking guy, and that's really neat. And I want to see more of that. And I think in the trailer they show Spot. The Spot was the
Oh,
villain,
yeah, yeah.
and I was like, that I love
Yeah.
because that's a really weird character that he fights.
Yeah.
I wish that they could have Venom, and it kind of sucks that they can't because they kind of need it because he has a power that is named after him,
Right, yeah.
and they haven't done that. But yeah, the animation styles are so incredible, and everybody has that different animation, and there's so much uniqueness to it. They actually slowed frame rates down for one character, while one Spider-Man had a slower because he's a little pudgier and then
Hmm.
he's older, so they slowed down his frame rate, and Miles was up because he was younger. That kind of stuff. Just thinking outside the box to make everything so unique is amazing. And
Yeah.
they even use comic book transitions, which Ang Lee wanted to do back in the Incredible Hulk days with
Hmm.
Eric Bana, and he couldn't get it to work properly, even though it was kind of fun and it was different. They did it here and they nailed it. And these guys also, like the team behind this, were also responsible for Lego Batman, which
Oh my God, I
to me
loved
is
it.
also another great one that paid
Oh my
so much
gosh.
love to the character
Yeah.
in all forms,
I
not
love
just
it.
the idea of the character, but all the versions of him they paid love to.
That was
The same
wonderful.
thing here. It's these guys really understand how to pay tribute to everything that has to do with these characters, and
Hmm.
I love it. And so just seeing these unique versions of these things makes me so happy. So I think worst case scenario is just that some of these things aren't as impressive this time around.
Yeah.
You know, the art, the characters, the new versions. If they try too heavily for memes, that's what I think. And also, I think that the biggest problem is it was fun the first time around when there's five like new versions of them, and this one there's like hundreds.
Hmm.
And I think they'll probably only pay attention to a core group.
I mean, that's what I was afraid of. So, like, that's what I was saying before that, like, there's so many that I just hope that Miles doesn't get pushed to the wayside, you
I mean,
know?
he's got to be the main focus, him and his
Well, yeah,
parents,
of
and
course. But I mean, you never know with
being a
these,
superhero.
because sometimes they want to just, they're so, with the first one, we didn't have this issue where they were so preoccupied with the flashiness and, just the spectacle of it. We didn't have that with the first one, but I have a feeling like my worst case scenario would be that in this one, it's just going to be a spectacle, and you're not going to be able to control what, like, you're not going to be able to keep your eyes on everything that's happening on the screen. It's
Yeah,
going to be a mess, like
yeah,
a big convoluted mess. I
sure.
don't want that.
Well, can you find out for me if Lord and Miller directed the first one? Because I feel like they did, and I don't think they're back this time, which is something that gets me a little worried.
Okay, so well, in the first one, Into the Spider-Verse, it was directed by Bob Paraschetti, Peter Ramsey, and then says and others, but writers Phil Lord and
Yeah.
Rodney Rothman,
Okay.
excuse me, Rothman.
Oh, so
So
the first one as well as this one. So I think the same people are really behind it. Okay. Because
yeah,
that's like three different directors. I guess they're, which is really great. They're actually probably crediting all the different animators
yeah. So
that are involved in
writers.
directing it. That's kind of
Actually,
cool.
it says different directors on here for
Oh,
the new one.
I wonder if
It
that'll mean it. I
says
wonder what that'll, or why.
Joaquin Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and others. And then the writers are Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and others. So, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I think when you have too many people behind the camera or
Cooks in
writing,
the kitchen, yeah.
there's too many cooks in the kitchen and it gets convoluted. So that's going to be my biggest, like, worst case scenario is that there's just too much shit going on the screen. I can't stand that. So
Yeah.
we'll have to just go in and see. But um, I am going to blow your mind because I think I'm going to come out of this with a 7. I
So you're
usually
definitely
say
hoping for a height, like a 7.
yes. I usually say like 6 is like, I mean, not on purpose, but that usually is what I say before I go into a movie because I'm hoping it's good, but I'm not sure.
See, here's the thing, though. We've been coming out. I think this is so far this year on the show.
Hmm.
We've hit sevens like crazy because I think that what I've noticed is seven is the number for us when it's something that's like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than okay, and I enjoyed it less than great. You know, I want to come out tonight with the first eight.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I've given an eight this year, and I doubt it because I can't think of any movies that would have given an eight. But we've given sevens
Yeah,
like wild, like
a
because
lot.
we've
Yeah.
we've come out pretty much enjoying things. Like I think there's only been a few where we come out and go, God, that was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few, but otherwise it's been pretty consistent. So I think I'm gonna come out of this with a 7. I'm hoping that I can come out with it like higher.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think a 7. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So we'll check in
DC is
later.
amazing.
Oh, that has nothing to do with anything, but I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. Okay.
I just had to sneak it in because
Okay.
you snuck in how you're a Marvel person.
Well, when I met
This
you,
marriage, I don't know.
when I met you, I was Gambit and Rogue were like it.
Yeah, I mean Gambit and Rogue for everybody.
I mean, I love
Let's
Gambit and Rogue. I love Storm. I used to read her
Oh yeah,
comics. I read her origin
Storm,
story.
Nightcrawler, the X-Men.
Yeah, the X-Men. Like that was my thing.
You know, I grew up reading Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, some of these weird comics I loved. I didn't like the big adventure characters, and I like Conan and stuff like that. Silver Surfer was neat to me.
Yeah.
I liked all those weird sciencey ones, but I also, to me, and I think a lot of this has to do with the '90s, with the cartoon of X-Men was so incredible
Yep.
that we all adored it, and they made Rogue like the sexiest thing on earth.
Yeah, she's sexy. She's awesome.
Yeah, so everybody kind of loved her. Yeah, I always say, and I think this is one of those things that'll piss people off, but my hot take is that I think that like Marvel is the nerd, is the more of the jock accessible comics, and I
Okay.
find that DC is the more nerd science, more thought provoking
Okay,
comics.
well, I resent that. And on that note, sir, so I don't slap you across the table.
It's like Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Okay, well, there's no competition there. It's definitely Star Trek. Anyway, all right. So
Do you want me to stop?
Yeah, we're gonna go see this movie before we cause an outrage over here.
Let's go see it.
Want to get out of here?
Oh, Gwen? So wait a minute. There's an elite crew with all the best spider people in it?
Who's the new guy?
This is unbelievable.
This is the lobby. Miguel O'Hara. The whole thing was his idea.
What's a guy got to do to join this spider team?
You can never be part of this.
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 1999-99.
I'll take it from here. Miles, being Spider-Man is a sacrifice. You have a choice between saving one person and saving every world. Can't stop me now! You can't run forever, kid!
I can't lose one more friend.
Hell, this isn't what we talked about!
You knew?
I have no idea what you're doing!
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
All stations, stop Spider-Man!
And we're back. We just saw Spider-Man
Spider-Man.
Across the Spiderverse. All right. I mean, so right off the bat, I mean, so much to talk about. I mean, this is a big film. This felt like a very big epic. I would say that, get it right out of the way for anybody listening, to say that a big negative that people need to know about, I think that don't going in, is this is a middle film. So this is a cliffhanger. This is the Empire Strikes Back of cliffhangers. Basically, and it's not even a cliffhanger of like Empire Strikes Back proportions. This movie, in that movie, that famously that movie has a character who's got a cliffhanger and they have to go save that person. Same thing here, but in this one, it's the main character, basically. And so that's a huge cliffhanger. And I think that it would piss off a lot of people. How did you feel about that?
Um, I agree too. If you don't know going in, which I didn't, that it was going to be that.
We should have known because this was originally called Part 1, and they took it off.
Oh,
And I had forgotten all about it.
oh wow! Oh my God, I don't recall that.
Yeah, back in when they first showed a teaser trailer, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, it said Part 1. And
Oh
I
God,
had remembered right when the cliffhanger was coming. I was like, oh,
I wouldn't remember that because so long ago. I've seen so many trailers and so many movies since then, so I wouldn't remember it saying part one. But wow, okay, well, that is something to note definitely for
well,
our listeners.
my question though is, did it piss you off?
No, it
It
didn't.
is a negative though, right?
I mean, yeah, but then I'm not pissed off because I really just want more of this.
Yeah, I mean, if this was if I was sitting in this movie theater for 5 hours, I mean, I probably would have felt it more. I definitely felt the time at one moment. I went, "Oh, this is a long film."
Yeah, what was the runtime on this?
About 2 hours and 15 minutes, maybe.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Yeah, and I would say that, but I was fine if this was Lord of the Rings and it was like 4 hours of this. I would have been fine because,
Mhm.
look, let's just say it right off the bat, right? How did you feel overall?
Um, right off the bat, I really, really enjoyed this movie.
Okay,
I really did. I love the animation.
I mean they knock it out of the park with the animation.
Yeah. And there's a lot of characters. Like, there's a lot of characters in this film, which I thought was going to oversaturate the film.
It
It
did.
didn't.
It's heavy though,
It's heavy. It's
and
heavy, but I didn't feel that oversaturation. Like, they didn't do a whole like mind-boggling. They there was a lot going on the screen, which I knew was going to happen, but it didn't throw me.
okay.
So I'm not thrown.
You know, it's funny because in your before you said you wanted this to be a Miles movie, and it started as not a Miles movie.
Mhm.
How do you feel about it now? Like how they did it?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it because there was so much in there for me. It still made it feel like a Miles movie, but with just that little extra. There was some characters in there that I felt were fun. I don't want to go any further, but I like his dynamic with Gwen. I think they're cute together. And I like that they made this more about family,
yeah,
like his family.
yeah.
At the risk of sounding like dumb.
But yeah, I mean, we were just saying like in the before you were saying, oh, if they went off a different route, like a different with different characters and changed it up, and the story wasn't just fully about Miles, you were saying whatever, and you're okay with it. And I would say that this movie does that origin story thing that they made a joke about with the first one, and I would say they doubled down and they did it multiple times throughout this one. But I loved it. Every time they did it, I thought they did it excellent.
Right, it was well done. So I didn't feel like I said I didn't feel like the over, just that they bombarded us with things. I didn't feel bombarded. If they had thrown in these characters and then gave us like elaborate backstories, which made the movie long, then I would be like, okay, this is enough. But they didn't do that. They actually made ample time for what they were doing.
Yeah, it flowed really well,
Mm-hmm. Had
while
a good flow.
also, I mean, it's kind of hard to talk about because it is a kind of a negative, but I also kind of put it in a positive because I can definitely see the problem is that it over explains itself a lot. There's a multiple times where a certain character will have their backstory being told while things are happening, but the way it's done, animation wise, the flowing of the movie, the reasons it's being done, pretty great. It didn't. It's not like it bothered me, but I will say that yes, it does exposition a lot,
Mm-hmm. It
and
does.
it's telling you a lot. There's because it knows that you need to know, and And also, I guess I should just point this out: how meta the movie is, while also being a very good film, is pretty damn great. It's so meta. It's running joke about breaking canon, like not saying it in the way where they know. It's not like they're using it in a way where it actually feels like a part of the plot that makes sense. And it when they say it, as meta as it is, it feels so genuine. It doesn't even feel meta, but it is. And I'm like, how clever and how well delivered that joke. And how that's the big part of the movie. You don't break canon. And
Right.
while you feel that joke, but it's not even it doesn't even feel like it is that joke. I think that's just such a brilliant way of delivering something like that. And then going out of its way, because we talked about it before, the love that the first movie gives to Spider-Man. This one, it's like tripling down.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's
You feel the there is just a sense. It's just very endearing. It's
Yeah.
very loving and endearing on top of being absolutely gorgeous to look at. It's
Yeah.
breathtaking to look at.
While yeah, absolutely, but like while referencing every single thing that has ever been Spider-Man, they it's like they went out of their way. They went, yeah, you know what? Everybody was freaking out about that Tom Holland Spider-Man where the Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire are all in it. They're like that. Oh, you think that's good? Here, hold my beer. We're gonna reference every single thing that you've ever seen. It's going to be in here somewhere, and they're gonna do really weird Easter eggs and references and cameos and just going out of their way to do some killer stuff
Yeah.
while also making every Spider-Man unique, their universe, their animation. I mean, it's almost like a marvel. It's something to stare at and just marvel at it.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Oh, I didn't even mean to. I didn't mean to. But yeah, but you just like it's so well produced, so well thought out. I mean, structurally, and I can see why three different people are credited as director because there is so much going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of like structurally like with the animation and just how they jump from the colors. They even change like the colors
The
change.
animation styles, the colors,
Yeah. They put
the
so
music
much
changes.
love, and oh, that's another thing I was gonna say. I love the soundtrack to this. I love
Oh,
I love the
just like the
music
first
in this.
one, yeah.
It was wonderful. In this movie, there's one particular character that came into this movie that made me so happy, and anyone who knows me will know why. But
Is it Bollywood version or because that was excellent?
no.
Oh
But
wow, okay.
but yeah, I was so happy. I was like, "Ee." There was so much
Oh, okay.
cuteness
Then
about
I don't
this.
think it's a spoiler. I think it's pretty heavily shown or talked about. I think a lot of people
Really, because
know.
I did not know, and I was very shocked when I
Well,
saw him.
what's good about us is you don't dive into like trailers or any like
I
what's
try
going
not
on,
to. I
what
try
people
not.
are talking about or anything like
You know,
that.
I try not to before the movie because
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything spoiled. I don't want people to, give me their hearsay and know what they
Mm-hmm.
think. No, don't put ideas in my head. I like to just go in the way I'm going to go in.
Because I go on Instagram and all these places.
Yeah.
I will get news from a lot of these posters and stuff like that. They're all putting up like little things, and I had heavily seen that. Oh, there will be this Spider-Man, this Spider-Man, this Spider-Man, and one of them is our favorite version of Spider-Man from the video game, which we would always use is the punk rock Spider-Man.
Yeah, so
and
just gave it away.
well, it's not like I said; it's already heavily out there. This isn't a spoiler.
Well,
And, by the way, it's not really a spoiler because when I say this, I mean it. Every single Spider-Man is in this film.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but it
Like
was
every version, there's jokes upon jokes upon jokes referencing.
it was ginormous
It-
the amount of characters in this.
How much time they must have put animating each Spider-Man in that one scene where they're running after him,
Yeah.
and that goes on for a while, and it is incredible, like just mind-blowing animation stuff going on.
Yeah, they put so much
They-
love into the animation and just even the voice talent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, there's and also if you have ever read a comic book or know any of the lores from any of the crazy Spider-Man stories, they're gonna reference it and make fun of those things, or pay love to it, or just not really get you. And shockingly, the emotion works really well. Again, it does feel like a coming of age story that is like personal in a Spider-Man animated film, in which some people would automatically go, "Oh, it's an animated film. It's a comic book film. It doesn't have anything for me." But I feel like it does. I feel like it just has a lot to offer
I
for
really
people.
do too. I feel like this movie had so much heart, and it was funny. There were so many funny scenes. Like I laughed so much,
Yeah.
and I felt that the endearing, uh, like family unit plot that they had going on, it just felt real. It felt
It's
really
great.
sweet.
It's really well written.
So I'm
And it's also done in a way where it feels genuine. None of it feels
right,
like forced in,
right.
or any of that stuff. It all feels extremely genuine and loving. It really does.
Yep.
I mean, it really feel it across the screen when you're watching this thing, that they put in every moment is a little something, and there's not a wasted moment.
No, there
I don't
isn't.
think there is.
I mean, at some point you start to feel the time,
It
but
definitely did.
like towards the end a little bit, you're like, okay, it's going on a little bit long. But
Yeah.
I didn't feel like sickened by it or like, oh God, I want this to end. I really had such a beautiful experience. Just my like my eyeballs were feasting
Yeah.
upon it. It was just so pretty.
And this is one of those movies I cannot wait for, like Corridor Crew on YouTube to talk
Oh
about with
yeah,
the animators, or have the animators talking on just talking about what they put into this, or being questioned about scenes or shots.
yeah,
Just even having a anybody out there just showing shots of references, because this is one of those movies that someone could do an Easter egg hunt, like Ready Player One, just an Easter egg
yeah,
hunt of just like childhood nostalgia, and it's all here, and
yeah.
it's fantastic.
I
Yeah, you're saying, sorry.
I'm sorry, no. I would just love to go get the DVD and pause it on the
Oh,
scene where you see so many Spideys and you just pick them all out.
and what's funny is they're actually putting like thought bubbles to tell you who they all are, and they're happening so quick. It's like no way in hell.
Yeah, I
But even the
couldn't.
fact that they tried,
I saw like one or two and I was like, I didn't get to
oh, they're
finish.
so quick.
But yeah, it's very quick. I mean, especially with all the stuff going on the screen, and you have this tiny little bubble down on the
Yeah,
bottom, and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah,
ah,
yeah.
shit, I
Oh,
can't.
there, and I love that there's a couple of times in the movie they didn't do it as much as they could have, but a bunch of times throughout the movie, maybe like three, if they did a deep reference, they put a thing in the corner and said, "Here's the explanation of this reference," and I thought that was really really
It
funny.
was really funny. Like I laughed, I really laughed a lot, and
Oh, I was laughing
I
hysterically.
thoroughly enjoyed every character. Like there wasn't one character in this film that I didn't like. I liked all the characters.
Well, it's funny because Spider-Man 2099 is easy to not like. I mean, they're doing that on purpose. There's a lot going on with his character, and it's heavy with him, and which is funny because there was one moment that got me a little mad, because it was a very important, and I guess this is like a negative. Well, there was an important moment where they're all explaining to him how serious this is, what's going on is, and while they're all like trying to tell him, they're showing him like how the gravity of the situation. Like someone walks in and it's like a joke. Like there's like it was like a tiny Spider-Man or something walked in the middle of it, and it kind of deflated the moment, because it was a heavy moment that really needed that weight, and it was really strong moment, and then he came in and did that, and I was like,
You
you
spoiled
didn't
the
need to do
moment.
that. But yeah, you were talking about voice actors. I mean, I was trying to point out or figure out who was voicing what, because there were so many,
It
and
was hard for me
they had
because
a lot of comedians in here, and a
although I
lot of
was
their
trying.
friends.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
was trying to get them all, but um, yeah, there were so many on the screen, so it was hard.
yeah, yeah. We caught a couple. I know. I think Andy Samberg was playing Ben Riley, Spider Man. I want to know if Nicolas Cage was playing the cowboy Spider-Man that I talked about before.
Okay, I was gonna motion to you during the movie, but I didn't even want to take my
I
eyes
couldn't
off the
tell. I
screen.
couldn't tell who it was.
It sounded like him.
I
You
thought he
mean
was
Web Slinger?
Web Slinger. Yeah.
Okay,
And
I
I was
just
like, that's
did.
got to be him. But he's not in it very much. He only has. I thought he was going to be a big part, but he's not. Who else? Um, there's the villain in this movie who's kind of like a comedy character who grows in the movie into a bigger thing. That's definitely going to play into the next one when it comes out. I believe that was Jason Schwartzman. I was trying to point them all out. I'm like, okay, I know this actor. I know this
You
actor.
know the actor playing Web Slinger.
Oh, I do. Who was
You
it?
do. It was Taron Killam
Oh,
from
so
Saturday Night
quick.
Live.
Wow, Taryn Killen.
Yeah,
I've heard.
yeah. He did too. Oh, Patrick O'Hara and Web Slinger, so it's like the same
That is the same character.
person.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then yeah, we had a bunch.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot. There was a couple voices. I was like, who is this?
Oh, the Vulture was Jorma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a great opening where a vulture from another universe, and it's funny because he's I think Italian, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm shocked that that's who it was. It was like full Italian. He was like talking full in Italian, which I love, and I love. Holy crap, was that cool? He was like paper.
Yeah.
He was
He
basically
looked cool.
like parchment paper from Da Vinci art, and they made his animated model out of that. I thought that was really cool. And also talking about I think Daniel Kaluuya was playing the punk rock Spider-Man, and we're gonna talk about his animation because
Oh my God.
it was basically like old posters for punk rock bands, and it was like punk rock art posters,
Yep.
and it was just in movement. It constantly kept changing on him. It was so cool.
Fucking rad.
Yeah,
I
they did it
loved
great.
I was so happy. I think I screamed out, "Yes!"
Yeah. Oh, and
when I saw him. I was like really loud about it.
he's in it. He has some good stuff in there. He's actually one of the characters who's in it for a little longer. Not as long as he could have been. His animation must have been really hard. I don't know how some
I
of these
can't
animations.
even
I was like, how
imagine.
did they
I
do
just
these?
can't imagine. It was so badass.
There was an actor I was going to ask you who it was because I know who it is. A big part of it, and he's fantastic, is they go to basically an India version of Spider-Man.
Okay.
And he is the actor from Deadpool who plays the taxi driver.
Oh.
Yeah, I knew that voice.
Yes. Okay.
I don't know his name.
His name is
He was on a show that I really liked.
Karan Sony. Karan Sony.
He was in a Paul Feig TV show that was like short-lived, but it was like a sci-fi show, like a Star Trek, and he was the captain. It was actually very funny. He's actually a very funny actor.
Dopinder in Deadpool.
Yes, yeah.
So funny.
He's very funny. I don't know why he's not bigger.
Oh my God.
But yeah, his character was great, and the animation there was great. His web singing was like almost like it was like a specialty thing. Instead of webs, it was like ropes, almost like
Yeah.
yo-yo type thing, and it was so neat looking.
Yeah.
His movements
I
were
loved
so
his
well
character.
done.
I loved all the characters, even the evil ones. They were all just great. Everybody, all the characters were great. And the animation just blew my mind. Like the colors and just the different animation styles and just how beautiful this was. I loved this movie.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I loved it. I loved it.
This is a very good. I was worried, and I said that I'm hoping for the best, and I was hoping for a higher score. Oh, geez, sorry about that. I was hoping for a higher score, and yeah, I think I'm coming out happy. You know, I think am coming out. This is a great successor to that first one that I love so much. This is pretty epic. I think that its biggest fault is that it doesn't have a clear ending, and it could have used a clear ending, and then have a cliffhanger or Easter egg, which we didn't stay around long enough. The only Easter egg we saw was it says "to be continued" and what the title was.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was anything after that,
Well,
but I'm
just
sure
like-
if there was, it was probably going to be a joke.
It said Miles Morales will return.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we got. So this is a middle movie, But I'm not even upset about it because I want more of this.
But yeah, I do. No, I do too. But I'm saying, as a movie, you can't. It's hard to judge it because it's not exactly ended. It's kind
It's
of
not
like,
finalized.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not closed. The chapter's not closed, so it's hard to review it as a standalone movie because it feels like it's a part of a bigger puzzle. Where the first one also has some cliffhanger stuff. I feel like it has an ending. You know what I mean? This one does leave you wanting a little bit of an answer.
Yeah, and I do agree with you on that. I do think that we need just a little bit of a, like closure.
Yeah, I think that's why you like Return of the King so much, right? Because Return of the King has you already got a lot of setup, and it's like that last half. You start off with this thing, and then you get the end, and it ends.
Which is
It's like
so comforting and wonderful. Yeah.
where I think it's hard to like, which is funny because I like Empire Strikes Back, my favorite of the three. And no, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say with Lord of the Rings that the second one is because it just feels so non-ended, like just completely open-ended, and in the beginning too, it just feels so open on both sides that it's kind of hard to judge it as a package. Whereas I really like one because it feels like the journey, like they're moving on to the journey. We know they're going to get there, so it does feel like an ending in a sense.
Yeah, I get it.
But here, the same thing, it just feels too open-ended.
It does, and I think that's maybe like the only thing that would bother me in this.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel complete, and it doesn't even feel satisfyingly closed. Everything's open at the end.
Everything is open.
There's a lot going on.
There is not 1 minute like where you're like, okay, oh, that's rectified and that's solidified over here. Like we're good on that front.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's all open ended. It's all, but
And I will say this, that what they've set up is so much.
yeah.
They're giving you like, hey, there's a lot of reasons to come back. There's a lot of stuff you want to see. It's huge. That's why I'm a little shocked. I'm always impressed. I'll say that when I see a 2.5 hour movie, like time, when it's this much work went into it, I always go, why did they bust their asses? They could have cut it down. They could have done an hour and a half of this. Like, I'm glad, but at the same time, I'm like, damn guys, you didn't need to do all of this. I always say that about Michael Bay's Transformer movies. I'm like, did you really need to do 2.5 hours of explosions? Like, God bless you guys for going out of your way to make a theater experience, even though they're not great. It's just that holy shit, you really went for it. The same thing here. They worked their asses off. I could see why this movie took a long time to
I
make.
can't imagine what they would cut out too. Like they probably, I mean, with the on the editing floor, they probably cut out a whole bunch of stuff that they.
Maybe some jokes that make it tighter, shorter.
Yeah.
Like squeeze the things so there's no dull moments.
Right.
I love those dull moments. I love that. That's one of my biggest things in movies I always talk about is I like when characters can just look out and you can feel what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great moments like that here. Just shots of the city and then looking out. There's a great sequence where Gwen is upside down and we watch the city upside down. It's just really
There's
neat.
a lot of beautiful shots like
So
that. I mean,
cool.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say just go see this movie.
Oh, it's really a high recommendation.
It was so good. Are we doing ratings? Or?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, because I know you're probably thinking we can't do a rating because it's not complete.
No, you got to rate it no matter what. But I definitely think it definitely is going to have star knocked off because of that open ending to me.
Okay, so what would you give it as a score?
I'm giving it exactly what I thought I was hoping to give. So it's getting an 8.
Yeah.
It's very close to a 9.
It's very close to
I
a 9.
very much enjoyed this film.
I think the only reason that I'm not giving it a 9 is because of the ending was so open. But I thought this film was absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. I loved everything about this movie. I'm trying to figure out if I actually liked it better than the first one.
Oh wow!
Because I think I did.
I feel like this next one, that third one, and I hope we don't have to wait years.
Let me look.
Man, I'm gonna be so upset if I don't get it in like in a year or two.
Let me look.
If I have to wait like 3, and I think that's how long the last one was, right? The wait. If That next one might be the best damn thing ever made. Of all the stuff they have set up, I don't even know how they can end it. Like I cannot wait to see what they pull out of their ass with that next one. Like this movie really went out of its way to like just give everybody something.
It really is. There is something for everybody in
There's
this.
so many things,
Yeah.
and
Okay. You don't have to wait. 2024.
okay, that's good.
So 2024.
I hope so because I know they had to back it off the last few times. So, but they're probably working on it back to back. They've probably been doing the whole thing. They probably filmed everybody talking, like all the voice acting, all that.
I'm pretty sure they did that, but yeah, I'm so looking forward to the next
Yeah,
installment.
what they have set up is going to be huge, I think.
This movie was pretty big. I mean, this movie was fun. It had everything. Go see it. Go see this movie.
Yeah.
Go see it. And also keep in mind though that you're not going to get finalization here.
Yeah, and
So,
I started that right off the bat, so it's already out there. But yeah, I mean, I guess we keep bringing it up. Like it is a very important thing. Like there were people very verbal at the end being pissed off in our theater. There was a group of people going, "Yeah, it was good, but man, I'm pissed off."
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I get it. I get it. It is hard when you get like a movie and you're like, come on. We just saw Fast and the Furious. It also had no ending, and it pissed me off.
Vin Diesel's going to be in a nursing home,
Oh,
just
so
remote
it's so
controlling
much.
the cars from the nursing home. So just strap in for that.
With that movie, though, it didn't really give us anything to have a cliffhanger. It didn't give me. I mean, sure, explosions and all that crazy stuff that movie kind of gives you. This movie just kept delivering stuff.
Yeah, really
Just
did.
so much feels like so much
There was-
fun. Like
Yeah, there's a lot.
it's wild and it's very impressive of a film, and it's one of those ones that like yeah I feel like I'm probably gonna want to watch it very soon as it comes
Oh
back
my
out.
god!
You know,
As
like
soon as it comes,
Yeah.
on streaming or whatever, but we're gonna get the DVD. I'm sure there's gonna be tons of stuff on there.
oh, it's gotta be wild
Yeah.
the stuff on this one. So yeah,
So go
and-
see this.
yeah. And also, as always, thanks you for listening to us, of course, if you are. And don't forget that we're on Instagram. You can find Joe at Crafty Misfit and me at Just Another Movie Night on Instagram. And you can comment and complain or tell us movies to watch or you just yell at us because you know what? We love it all. We love the conversation. We
Well,
love talking about movies.
I don't want to be yelled at.
We want to hear everybody's point of view. Yeah, don't yell at Joe. You can yell at me.
Be
I
nice.
enjoy it.
I'm a crier.
But yeah, anytime we're always looking for bad movies to do on our other show. So yeah, hit us up.
Yes.
So
yes,
yeah, thanks for
recommendations.
listening. I hope you enjoy the film like we did, and I hope you have a good one.
You me? And then I looked at my uncle and
Let me guess. He died?